So on this shot, the out of focus actually makes it feel like there's more of an environment here, that it's kind of an action shot, like frozen in time, when of course none of that is true. It's just a little toy being held up. And then how can you bring that out in color processing? Well, we'll do some adjustment layers. And for this one, I don't want it to go too bright. I don't want everything to look too flat. I want it to feel dimensional and fully realized. And then for colors, I think I just want to emphasize those reds just a little bit. Like so. So that's my second process shot. Yep, these, like for the architecture assignment, we're doing a mini portfolio, 3 unprocessed and then those same 3 processed. So I'll save this process one as a JPEG, and it's going to be my space manipulation 2B to the desktop. And then my raw exposure will simply be all these turned off. And that would be 2A. Now the reason you won't have the best compositions when you first open them up is because so much of it is trying to line up the shot correctly and not have too much zoom to mess up your effect. So you can do a lot just by tweaking the composition a little bit within your existing format. Again, we are not cropping into the format. And when we zoom in like that, we are losing a little bit of focus, just a little bit, because we're having the computer make up a few pixels, but you'll still see that your focus is really good. I can see all the fibers around the rope. I can see the hook slightly out of focus coming out at us. I can see the texture of the paint. And that's what helps to sell it as a larger object than it is, because this makes us really examine the object as though it's much bigger than like a Happy Meal toy, even though that's what it is kind of in actuality in terms of size. All right, so once you have those 2 JPEGs, that's the next thing you'll be turning in, and then I just need my third. And I'm not sure which one I should do. Like this has kind of closely matched focus, but it's not a very interesting shot. But if I made a duplicate of this, and then I would just stretch it out so the hand wasn't showing. You know, just enough. So it really makes that tower look so much bigger because there's a helicopter, you know, flying what looks like between us and it. It'd be even better if it was overlapping it somewhat. So there's that. And then this one, which makes Voltron look like a college student. Now I'm very fond of this robot, so I think I'm going to go with this one. And I don't think it needs all that much manipulation. I could tug at it a little bit. But I don't want his feet to be like at the bottom of the frame. So I want to kind of show that shadow underneath and that whole placement. And I actually like seeing the campus. So I think this one's actually better with the whole frame, like so. Though that's fairly successful. Let me see, maybe move it over a little bit. So you see both buildings. Okay. And then in terms of coloring, should be pretty straightforward. Might deepen the midtones just a little bit. Maybe even limit some of the whites, the highlights. And then color. So just very simple processing for these. Bless you. Now remember, just because you're doing adjustment layers, that doesn't mean that you can't play with the opacity and decide how much of that adjustment you actually want. We still tend to be a little heavy-handed when we do our adjustments. So they don't need to be all or nothing. We want to make sure that they're helping our image. So this will be my final one, so I'll call this Carl Assignment 9. This is my third process shot. That's my third PSD, and now I make my JPEGs. So this would be 3B, it's processed, and then unprocessed, 3A. And then we have a mini portfolio, all with the standard format of our camera. Yeah, don't love that one. That's not going to make it into my portfolio. Now what's interesting is my most successful shot in terms of matching the focus foreground to background is what I'm not using. You see the focus matches really well, but I wasn't able to zoom in enough to really make him tower above. And the focus is still not perfect. And the lighting is just way underexposed, so it looks really grainy with all the ISO that was needed to balance out the exposure. So again, we're making the best of what we have, of the exposures we have. And we hope out of the three to have one good, convincing manipulation of scale and space. Okay, let's organize our raw exposures. Put them into the folder, put my PSDs. I always like to mark them with a certain color so they're easy to find if I want to continue working on them. Here are my 3 PSDs, so I'm going to mark those as green. Put those in my folder. And now I just have to put the JPEGs into the right folder. And it's going to be Assignment 9, Scale and Space. They're right there. And upload. This is more love than my Voltron toy's gotten in a long time. And then bring these in. Labeled in this way. And remember, you have to title them. And I'm just going to call them Carl 1A, Carl 1B, Carl 2A, and you decide which order you want them to appear. Oh, I have that swapped. That's B, that's A. The unprocessed are A, the processed are B. And even when you make just subtle processing decisions, you should kind of see the power of them even in these little previews. You only want to do things that help the photos. All right. And that's it for this assignment. Again, we're hoping for one manipulation that works. And we can use these skills in this exercise to do more. One didn't seem to load. Oh, let me order it by title. There we go. And now they should all load correctly. All right, very good.